What happened today?
Oh man, today was probably the single windiest race I think I've ever participated in my career, which is, as I'm being reminded a lot lately, is quite a long time. And yeah, so it was nuts. You know, I guess I should start at the first rather than the finish, but couple of young kids, a couple of the whippersnappers, Garmin and Livestrong kids went off. I believe it was Garmin Livestrong. Took a flyer early on, and I kind of thought that maybe the Mellow Johnny guys and the D's Nuts guys would probably let that roll, being how there's a little bit of a common interest there, but no such luck. Those kids really had to work their guts out today to stay off, because Lance, J-Mac, Jason McCartney, Zabriskie, and who's the other D's Nuts guy? Peterson. They were on the front today, and obviously taking it as a work day for getting ready for Tour California, because they were full throttle. So they were chasing those kids, and the rest of us were just behind, going, "Man, I'm glad I'm not touching the wind, because it's crazy right now."
Did anything go off then? Or?
That was pretty much it. You know, those two kids went off, and then I believe a United Healthcare guy tried to bridge across and had much luck in the wind. And then we brought them back before the last feed zone, and the wind was just so brutal at that point. You know, I think a couple guys made a few efforts and then hit the wind and realized, like, whoa, this is no joke, and sat up and came back. Yeah, I mean, Mellow Johnny's guys, Lance and J-Mac were pretty much on the front with Zabriskie and just drilling it all day, and the rest of us were fortunate enough that it was mostly a headwind or a tailwind until we made the right-hand turn into the final couple kilometers, and that's when it was just the craziest crosswind you've ever experienced in your life. Right. And that's when everything just went crazy.
Was that before the second feed zone or after?
That was after the second feed zone. Yeah. Okay. So I guess prior to that, there was some crosswinds early on too, and that split the field. You know, we were down to probably 50 riders after the first big climb of the day before we even hit the first feed zone, and it didn't really regroup after that, and we just kind of stayed. I would guess around 50 riders until we hit that final 2 kilometers, and then once we made that right-hand turn and it went into the crosswind, it was all manner of disaster was breaking out there. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so tell me about your race and how you handling having.
It's been this race. I guess Gila's kind of my first real test of what I'm trying to do as a solo rider, and I got to be honest, it's been very challenging. And I knew it would be, but the magnitude of how challenging it would be has just kind of fully hit me down here. And it's not necessarily the racing itself. That's pretty second nature to me. And once I get out on the bike and get the race going, things go pretty well for me. But everything leading up to the race, getting your bike ready, getting your bottles ready, all that kind of stuff that you take for granted and I like to think that I'm not the kind of guy that actually took that for granted, because I really appreciated it when I had it. But to have to be responsible for that yourself, luckily I have my great wife here with me. She's helping me out. She hasn't been down to this race since 1998, so I think it's fun for her to come back to Silver City as well. But so I do have some help, and I've gotten a lot of encouragement from just people in general, and riders in the peloton seem to be pretty encouraging too, and so overall it's been a really great experience for me, but definitely challenging.
All right, and today, so tell me about your finish. What happened there?
Yeah, I guess with about 1 kilometer to go. Once we hit that crosswind, anybody that had any sort of a deep dish front wheel on, and mine wasn't too deep. I'm running the edge like kind of mid. I think they call them the 45s. But yeah, as soon as a wind gust hits that and it puts you into the gravel, you're kind of out. You're fishtailing in the gravel and hoping to keep it up. And then once you get back up on the road, you've lost all your momentum, and that's what happened to me today. And a gap opened up, and I just kind of. Went into the red zone as hard as I could and try and limit my time. I guess I lost anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds on the leaders today. So that's a bit disappointing, but I'm glad I have all my skin. The older you get, the more you kind of get things in perspective. And I've had enough crashes in my time now that like, you know what, I'm totally fine with that because I've got a few more days ahead of me, and Sunday's usually been a pretty good day for me too. So hopefully that kind of tradition for me will continue here.
And so what's the secret of riding in this win or racing in this win?
You know, the secret is, I don't remember who told me this. It was a while back, my first year on a pro team, Saturn. Somebody was telling me, you got to be like a salmon that's spawning, and you're always just trying to move up and get ahead of everybody else in the stream. And so instead of trying to hold your position in the peloton, particularly when today was like being inside of a washing machine, man. You could not hold your position unless you were like maybe, you know, somebody like even Levi was getting bounced around, you know, and that's saying something.
Well, he's tiny.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, riders have respect obviously for somebody like Levi, and he's also wearing the jersey, leader's jersey, and even he was, you know, it was like a pinball machine. So yeah, for me, I just kept thinking about being a fish and just trying to, you know, constantly moving forward. You know, every chance you get, every opportunity you have to move forward, you take it. Honestly, regardless of whether it was Levi or anybody else, being a solo rider and winning GC at a stage race, particularly one with the depth of talent here, would be a tall order. And I knew that from the get-go. Like, winning a stage race this year would be, you know, that would be, I wouldn't say impossible, but it would be pretty tough. But trying to pull off a stage win here, I think, is very well within the realm of possibility.
All right, and then, you know, if you were Louis Amaron, who, you know, moved closer today, what would you do to try and take the GC away? Is there anything? Is it winning a time trial and out climbing on Gila Monster?
Say someone like Amaron, he'd obviously have to have an incredible time trial and at least try and be equal to Levi, which that alone is monumental. And then have the ride of his life on Sunday, and hope that you know, I think, you know, Lance and McCartney are definitely working hard, and so, you know, there's a possibility Levi might find himself isolated if there was a strong enough group. But Levi's got enough matches to burn. I think he's a very seasoned rider. He's very confident, and obviously he's very strong too. So it'd be a tall order for anybody to do. But
hey, he sprinted for second today, I hear.
Oh, did he? Wow, that's great. Actually, I overheard some people talking about him mixing it up now that you mention it. Somebody was saying, like, Levi was leaning into me. Can you believe it? And it was a big guy. I remember that. I remember thinking, like, picturing Levi coming in on this guy going, whoa. Oh, it was Nick, is it Nick Fry?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he was saying that Levi was dicing with him in the finish. So
that's interesting. Yeah. So tomorrow time trial. So how do you choose your equipment with, you know, if there's wind like this out there?
You know, I was thinking the only time I've actually encountered wind like today was, I would say it was probably 2004 when I came out here, and they used to have the time trial as the first stage, and there was a system that blew in. They used to start riders in the time trial according to your last name, so that whoever was A would go off first, and so I was always one of the last riders to go off. And this incredible microburst like windstorm hit around the M's. And so I remember I was out warming up on my bike, and I had, you know, like a deep arrow front wheel on and a disc wheel, and was doing just fine. And then all of a sudden this thing came up and hit me, and I barely could keep the bike up straight to get back to the car and put on my training wheels. And I rode just regular, you know, clincher, low profile training wheels in the time trial, because that was all you could do. Otherwise, you'd get blown right off the road. So if wind is like this tomorrow, I'll probably go with something similar. You know, it's better to stay upright and, you know, and lose a minute than find yourself plastered against the side of a mountain.
All right. And what's the secret for winning on Sunday, the Gila Monster?
You know, I don't know that there really is a secret. I've just always had had a special connection with this race and that stage in particular. And I don't know what it is, but when I get to this race, something happens to me. A flip, you know, a switch gets flipped, and I don't know. I mean, I've won it in a few different ways. It's never been the same every time, you know. So I couldn't really say that there's a secret in particular, other than you need to like altitude and you need to like to climb for a long time, which is two things that I've really been able to do well to a certain extent in my career. So.